like he has any major titles.
Yeah, no, but he struggled at the early stage of last split. Of course, Masters 3 didn't do so well, but now really finding his form, finding that former World Championship status, and we'll see whether he can continue this time around. But Insec, I mean, if anyone's going to throw a curveball, it's going to be that guy.
That guy trying to cobble together what champions he actually plays in the top lane, which is funny because he used to be a top laner in Korea for KT.
I just love the word cobble in that instance. Echo is going to be banned away from King, though, as we are into Champions League here, ladies and gentlemen.
No punches wasted. They immediately target ban SMLZ with that Caitlyn. And King actually did this to OMG as well. When they faced OMG, they were one of the first teams to ban away both Maokai and Sivir.
Yep, they're not pulling any punches. It's getting straight to the facts. Got to get rid of this stuff that we can't deal with. So it is going to be Nautilus finishing off that ban list. A couple aimed at 0 there. Could potentially be that top Nautilus there as well, but Lupa hasn't necessarily been for it just yet. Ryze is going to finish off that ban list for M3. Of course, red side forced to ban away a whole lot of those power picks in the Kalista and the Ryze, but means that Insec can lock away Sivir here for Name.
I feel like this is a mistake. Because it empowers Masters 3. So undoubtedly, I assume that Condi will take Gragas. Gragas is just considered kind of the top tier jungle pick because of everything he offers. Aggressive, disengage, things like that, wave clear. It's fantastic, tankiness. But I feel like Rek'Sai is the much more heavily contested pick between both these teams. And I feel like you could sacrifice Gragas on his Condi. Like, Condi's Gragas is amazing. Huey's Gragas is not amazing. He only statistically performs on Rek'Sai. That's his only statistically relevant champion.
Well, Lupa is going to, in the end, go back to the Annie here for M3. So it is going to be Annie and Gragas locked away. Huey's hovering over Elise in, and Korn's going to grab his Rek'Sai for him. A little bit cute there. We'll see what King decide to lock in. But the Annie pick, of course, Lupa's played that in the top lane, but I don't think that's where it's going to end up.
Yes, Lupa has played it in the top lane.
I just love bringing that up.
I'm pretty positive it's going to end up in Love CD's hands. Shot caller of the team.
Yeah, just wants to be able to have a little bit more playmaker ability there as well. Some standard picks coming through from King. Once they sort of loosened up there, and Huey hovering over his Rek'Sai, and there'd be no surprise if he locked that one in. Korn, is that actually going to be a Karma? That's a ticking down clock, and that is going to be Karma locked in for Korn.
Karma was changed.
She was.
And
she's
you are
very strong.
You're a big proponent of Karma.
I'm a massive fan of Karma. We actually had a game together.
Yep.
And I built some interesting items, and let's not talk about them. Still won the game, though.
I believe the last time Karma was played in LPL, it was in the support hands of Lei.
Wow.
I think it was Lei.
Does not sort of strike me as necessarily the Karma player. Of course, Karma, when you're in the support role, you're playing more sort of poke-based. I think of Lei as sitting back. I want to play Janna. I want to make sure that I take control of Vision. Well,
yeah, with Vision, but Karma's very quick at mobilizing around the map due to her speed.
Well, SMLZ is going to lock away the Corki, and Dade actually picks up Rumble for Lupa in the top lane, so a lot of mid-game pressure for M3. And King, we'll see what they do to answer it. They do have the Sivir, they've got the Rek'Sai there as well, and Karma actually fantastic throughout the early stages of the game, having access to that mantra very early on. These will be some odd picks.
I have no idea what they're going to pull out here.
They're just hovering over some things. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if that Karma went to the top lane to the hands of Insec. He's like, okay, they're on to me, Yasuo. Better mix it up. Well, we shall see.
I think the Vladimir is going to Insec. He played it last time.
Well, the handy thing is if they lock in both of these champions, that is the last two picks that Dade made on the Rift. They are going to be able to take them away. So Twisted Fate for Korn. It is going to be Vladimir there in the top lane, meaning that Karma going to be relegated to the support position, but that is so much movement speed coming out of this bottom lane.
It's a lot of mobility and a lot of pick potential out of King's composition. So Sivir is going to work great with Vladimir and Rek'Sai. Now, why I specifically like Sivir with Vlad is because he needs flanking options. Because again, if a Vladimir is running straight at you, he obviously wants to pool to get to that backline. You're just going to walk away from him. But the On the Hunt ultimate allows him the movement speed where he can look for a side flank or even come from behind to engage.
Not to mention the fact that he now has Karma as well, and if you use that Mantrad Shield, you get basically a mini talisman, probably going to be building up a Talisman of Ascension there as well in the bottom side of the map, so see what King make use of.
Look at the magic damage on Masters 3's composition. Every single one of those champions will do magic damage, including Corki, who's a mixed damage caster ADC. Abyssal is your friend.
Yeah. Lock of the Iron Solari will be a definite buy for Huey here this game. If he doesn't pick that one up, I will be very, very confused. And They could even grab multiples here on this side. I mean, just magic resist is the key word. And actually both sides of the Rift here as well, with Vladimir and Twisted Fate being locked in at the same time. Not to mention Karma does a decent amount of damage, especially now. Look, we'll see how this one goes. Of course, both of these sides, though, look to me like they've got very mid-game-centric comps.
Masters 3, I'm actually going to give the draft there. I think their composition is much more straightforward in how it works. It's effectively an AoE wombo combo type of composition. They're going to be great when they challenge objectives. Rumble is always going to give that team the superior dragon control just because of how the equalizer will lay over the terrain. SMLZ on the Corki, like you said, mid-game power spike, Trinity Force, things like that. The thing about King's composition is it's obviously all about mobility, making quick rotations, and then with the Twisted Fate, you have the option of doing a 1-3-1 split push. So I'm just really curious if they don't get the pick, if they ever fall behind, where their composition looks at that point, because then you're just waiting for Vladimir to get 6 items and just be that damage tank god that he can become. But I don't know, I feel like King, they have very awkward windows of timing where they can make plays on the map if they fall behind.
Yeah, and if the game finds itself in the late game as well, Twisted Fate, definitely an admirable champion in that situation. Vladimir as well, known for that massive, consistent damage in the late game if you can get those Tides of Blood across, considering the fact that you can stay untargetable for so long with both the Zhonyas and the Bull. So, see whether they do manage to get there. Of course, Civil with a lot of AoE damage as well. Hemoplague plus Ricochet is ridiculous.
Yep.
So, look, we'll see whether they can get stuff done. I'm just excited about seeing a Karma.
Well, we'll have to see.
We will indeed as we hop onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift with King versus Masters 3. Huey wandering around on the Rek'Sai here. Does need to be a little bit careful, but more careful does Dade have to be. Down to below 100 health. It's down!
Why?
Gold carded to the face. I don't know why it turned.
Why would he flash?
Not entirely sure. As you could hear, I was pretty confused myself.
I think he was trying to flash the Karma damage. I think that was probably his intention, and he thought that if I flash, I'll eat the gold card, obviously, but it won't kill me, but Korn threw it with an auto.
Well, that is generally how a gold card works.
That's really unfortunate. More important, not only because Dade gave the first blood over to his enemy mid laner, so Korn's automatically going to start with double Dorans. The sustain and the damage and the health is going to be oppressive, but Victor doesn't have flash, and he's a very low mobility champion.
So
that's a
Huey.
Giant sign. Huey, please eat here.
He does have some opportunities now, as we are going to have both teams starting on the blue side of the map. In fact, duo lanes hanging out towards the top side as M3 Love City just hanging around with Zero here. He doesn't spot the fact that they are doing that blue buff. Condi gonna smite that one away, and the back is gonna come through here for Lupa.
Ooh, really clever play from Masters 3 here.
Yeah, they're looking for Zero. He's got nowhere to run as Dade's trying to move around as well. There's the Mantra Q, but it's only going to save him for so long. Oh, doesn't get the stun. Does Love City for the flash forward again. Everyone's flashing here from Masters 3. Dade picks up the kill, and you can see they were trying to give it to him.
And I love Huey as he just kind of rumbles up looking for the knock-up, changes his mind, quickly goes away. So what was brilliant about that is that Masters 3 decided to start with the lane swap on the enemy blue buff, taking that away. So they're in full position to look for a 3 buff on Huey here, and then immediately translated it onto collapsing on top of Zero.
Well, Insec as well now with a fair bit of control of this lane, so saving grace here for King as Lupa had started over at that blue buff just to make sure that they secured the steal. Lupa is going to be more than fine here just hanging around. Has only just got one.
There's one flash left on the side of Masters 3, and it's in SMLZ's pocket.
Well, thank goodness. Of course, 80 is keeping their flash. It's a good idea. Love City didn't blow the Ignite, surprisingly enough.
I want to give the kill to Dade.
Yeah. I want to just... Look, it's the type of play where you were just seeing them all flashing at one another. You could imagine doing more buttons is probably all they wanted to do at that stage. Understood that they had to give Dade their sort of hard carry it's been throughout the most recent times of Masters 3. Really give him the start that he needs.
Yeah, typically his lane phase has been a little bit suspect. That said, on his most recent performance against Xiaohu, Vladimir versus Jace, he gave it to Xiaohu. Beat him 1v1 multiple times in the mid lane. So Dade, I mean, we talk about his streaks all the time. I feel like he's actually on kind of a hot streak. Curious if his performance will carry through, especially on this Victor.
Yeah, he outplays as well. And look, if there's any champion that Dade has shown proficiency on, especially even in last split as well, it has been that Victor. As Zero, he's back here towards the top side. Name farming out quite nicely against SMLZ, but that wave is pushing towards Masters 3. And
Huey lost a lot of pressure and a lot of time trying to commit to that gank top, and of course he was spotted out by a nice ward from Masters 3, so again, understanding that majority of their flashes are down, playing very passively and very controlled across the map. We see on the bottom side Looper pushing forward, but it was because Huey had been spotted on the top side, which kind of gives him the freedom to push forward and look for a wave bounce before he resets it. So just being very intelligent about the information that they're gathering on Huey and making the appropriate plays around the map.
yeah, and Connor's not wasting any time. He's destroying all of these jungle camps, hasn't even taken his blue buff yet, knows that he'll be able to have control of that area, just considering the fact that Masters 3, as he said, they knew where Huey was. No rush here for Condi.
And now Looper will go up in ward his lane, so again, he pushed forward because he knew he had an opportunity to try to reset the wave and to really punish Insec on a CS, knowing that Rek'Sai was on the top side.
Yeah, and in fact, Dade might be able to pick up this first blue buff as well, if it is going to be Condi heading over there. So waiting just a little bit, possibly handing that over.
And again, that's because Huey lost his blue buff, so he effectively has now been 3-buffed. So with Dade picking up that solo kill, it doesn't look like he'll get it though. They're just going to keep the experience on Condi.
A bit surprising that Condi is going to be able to use that one. Of course, explosive cast, very useful. And these early blue buffs, or early buffs just in general, give you a whole lot of experience. So using that one a big deal. Is Condi not quite level 5 just yet. He's going to take himself a River Scuttler as SMLZ and Name just playing with each other in the top side.
They have a lot of deep vision, so they're able to be aggressive. And we always say this, Corki I'm going to consider kind of a soft counter to Sivir, but only post level 6 when he has his rockets available, just because of how her spell shield is going to be used against his phosphorus bomb to eat a lot of his initial burst damage. But once he has the ultimate, it's very easy to drop him like that, to drop a rocket and eat that.
Yeah, the boomerang actually coming in here. There's the Destiny as the flash comes out.
Oh, nice heal.
Fantastic. Wildcards, I'm going to find it. There's the consolation prize, Love City. Oh, boomerang, not good enough as Name, he's very close to dead. SMLZ, he's going to finally fall as Huey just waltzes on in, picks himself up that one, and one more turret shot. That would have been the death of that Rek'Sai. So an interesting dive, but does go well here for King.
How quickly Name did the math to try to look for that play. He survived with a sliver of health on top of his heal. Wow.
Was he doing the math, Prosper?
He's a world-class player. You want to talk about a guy who was in almost every single LPL final. Don't even get me started on Name's stats.
Okay.
We'll be here all night.
We just recently read a lot of it. Huey is going to take down the Gromp. So, of course, yes, most definitely a fantastic player, but he flashed boomerang for a crazy kill.
He missed the boomerang, but he survived.
That's the main thing, the fact that he lived.
And here, looking to make sure that they get the lane swap. So what you saw Name do is, as he was walking off of spawn, he stopped behind the second-tier tower. Yeah. And what he's doing is he's waiting for Annie and SMLZ to show back into the top lane to dictate, okay, am I looking to continue the 2v2 or am I looking back for the lane swap?
Well, he's going to make it underneath this turret as well. Uses that boomerang to pick up all of the farm here as well. Ricochet's going to deal with this minion wave. SMLZ not able to get too much work done. Name happy to pick all this up. So now a 12 CS advantage here for the Sivir in a matchup that has sort of historically been difficult for the champion.
It's, again, only after Corki is level 6. Yeah. Big thing, though, is that he's looking for his Phage itemization first before the Sheen, so not looking for that damage, which makes sense because obviously he's behind. He just got all-in on. Managed to squeeze out with his... Nope, never mind, he died. I was going to give him something, but I had to take it.
Huey just flashing underneath that turret that managed to finally pick up the kill, but there were a lot of different attempts. Colin, one thing that we didn't mention is the fact that first Destiny successful here. He picked up the kill onto Love CD, and eventually SMLZ went down as well. So Korn now sitting on 2-0 and 1, has the Sheen as Love City. He's going to get stunned up there. There's the double stun though as Name's burning down. Zero picks up the kill though as SMLZ answers back. It is going to be 80 carry for support though, and Hemoplague's down. Looper in trouble from Insec. Is he going to be able to get it done? The Flame Spitter burns him down, and Looper with the 1v1.
A beautiful use of overheat right there on Looper to make sure that he had the overheat while the Flame Spitter was active, so he was doing so much damage to Insec. Speaking of not doing math.
Yeah, Insec. He's getting one out just a little bit there, but it was very close. Thought that he'd get enough health back from the pool, but just wasn't able to. CS is going to be evened out there on the bottom side of the map as Lupa goes on the Abyssal Scepter.
And you'll see this all the time in LPL, whereas one lane goes nuts, more often than not, the surrounding lanes will then all erupt into action in very quick bursts, because it's just about how they play with information. If they know at any time where threats are, they'll always make moves to be effective against it.
Yeah, and of course, whoever has control of that lane as well is going to be looking even more for the power play. Condi hanging around in base. He's going to be heading out doing a little bit more farming now as well, as Lupa has finished off a Negatron cloak.
I'm actually really curious that King didn't take this opportunity, or not even just King, but even Masters 3, take this opportunity to swap back. Masters 3, I mean, obviously this is the go-to. Looper is level 8, so already has that equalizer available. Likewise with the teleport, so Masters 3 have the superior dragon control here.
Yeah, but they're looking for the gank. Con coming through, has locked in the gold card. Looper is just going to get taken down. Name picks up the kill, and Zero just happily tanking the turret until it wasn't needed.
And this is King making the conscious decision that the tower is worth more than the initial first dragon, which makes sense because they do have Sivir, and she's going to be so much better than Corki at pushing down those objectives quickly.
Is going to be able to defend this mid lane as well. Does have a tunnel available there into the Raptor camp. M3 are going to trade it for the Dragon, like you said. They're not going to be able to get any more work done to that mid lane out of turret.
Question is now, where will Name be shifted? And it looks like directly into the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Smozzy moving around here as well. He's able to get a few pot shots out on this turret. Not sure whether he'll be able to take it down. Zero with a lot of movement speed. Making
He's
his
so
way
quick.
In. Yeah, he's got some mobility boots. They got things going on here. Smozzy has actually picked himself up a bit of a CS advantage. What is this? The man from Q.
Oh, he was in the lane initially.
Yeah, it was. Smozzy has had a little bit more time. Love City coming through now as well. Does have himself a bit of a stun ready, so Zero might need to be a little bit careful, but that is not necessarily Zero's MO.
So now the question becomes, when does Love CD flash?
Well, he's looking for it right now. There it is. Actually not with the flash, as Zero's going to get stunned. Actually not going to go down though, as Name just blew the heal just to make sure that his Karma wasn't going to fall down, and there's now Bear running around in the lane. Karma
is so quick. With the added mobility given by the heal, he was able to completely sidestep the Gragas cask right there and just kind of blue suede shoes himself to safety.
Seems like he just wandered out very, very fast.
There's a lot expended on that engagement trying to get Zero, both the Gragas ultimate as well as Tibbers. Naturally, Tibbers has like a 30-second cooldown, but...
In fact, is it back up again, or is it just not gone away just yet? I'm pretty sure it just hasn't gone.
I'm not willing to commit on the answer for that one.
I have a feeling that it's probably not back up. It was only just used moments ago. Corn, though, hanging out here in the mid lane, as Dade's just going to relentlessly clear out these minions. Wildcard's going to try and do the same thing, but Victor just looking to try and scale, get himself to a point where he's past his very strong corner. He's been moving around picking up kills. Huey though, oh, immediately cleanse there from Dade. There's the Chaos Storm. Huey might be able to pick this kill up. Flash is available from Dade though as Connie makes his way in, but Korn is going to think twice before making that move again.
And that was really telegraphed by Korn stepping forward with the gold card. And obviously you always have to be conscious of the creative gank pass over walls through Fog of War that Rek'Sai can use with her tunnel. So Dade knew exactly what was happening, and what was specific about that engagement is how he played across or around his gravitational field, using it as almost like a dare to Huey to come try to get on top of him.
With some great use of that boomerang there, making sure that SMLZ had nowhere to run, getting a lot of damage onto this Corki. Only ahead by about 1 CS, but he's going to be able to pick up this wave. Boomerang's coming through again, so Name relentless. He's just been playing so much more aggressive over the last few weeks.
Kind of returning to his roots, and his champion pool is changing to be more utility-oriented, but he's starting to get more comfortable on this Sivir pick. His win-loss record is still not the greatest. He's 7-8, so he still has under a 50% win rate with Sivir, but again, it's kind of experimenting, giving Korn more responsibility and more chances to carry versus him, you know, insta-locking Jinx every game.
Yeah. Stats on that champion have been a little bit sad.
They've been hurt. How about that?
Yeah, let's go with that one. Love City is going to tank the damage there from the Carnage to make sure that Love City can take down this pink ward. Does manage to. Condi's paying a visit here as well. And Huey, is going to lose. No. So Huey's going to be able to take down his red buff. Condi decides instead that he wants to take the 5 gold from the tunnel.
And the confidence is given because they have complete control of that mid lane. So since Dade forced Korn back, that's why Condi and Love City immediately take the go to run into Huey's jungle and challenge that red buff as well as take down that mid-tier tower.
And is this just the power of Victor, or is it just
Yes.
Dade demanding the respect in the mid lane?
Victor itemizes incredibly cost efficient. He gets very early power spikes in lane. Once he has double upgraded Hex Core around level 9, because his Hex Core will multiply his bonus ability power by his level, he pretty much gets to free clear the wave on his laser, and then if it taps you, it's going to do about 25% of your HP, so just absurdly strong lane presence. And likewise, TF, as he Destinies down, doesn't have many...
Teleport is going to be used. SMLZ going to get caught up here, but Looper in with the Destiny forces a flash out of Name. SMLZ isn't going to die, but Love City is on the other side of the rift. Zero's going to clear out this top wave. Not entirely sure what happened to the little Annie, but she's not feeling too good. SMLZ is going to be fine.
Well, there's no play in the mid lane for King right now unless they land the gold card into the unburrow from Huey and Corrin, and it just wasn't working for them, especially because Huey doesn't have his flash up, although he recently used it, I'm assuming, to kill little Annie.
Yep. So,
and this sounds really simple and obvious to say, but TF is really only taking 2 abilities that he can actually use in lane. But here we go, we have blue play.
City is going to get... Oh, actually doesn't even get stunned, it's just Insect with a whole lot of Hemoplague damage, and then Huey over the top
Flash,
of the flash.
yeah. And the flash on Burrow is so key to Rek'Sai's backline threat, so see how this will impact their team fight, especially because Dragon will be coming up in 1 minute, and he doesn't have that. You almost have to think of it as important on Rek'Sai as it is on Alistar.
For another gold card. Nice Valkyrie from SMLZ is going to get him to relative safety, but Cold ghosting after him here. Wants to lock another stun, but SMLZ is going to flash over. He's going to be safe for now.
See what they do with this pressure. Again, they really have to pay attention to the mid lane because Dade has full control, and if the mid lane goes down, that pretty much gives you the most passive advantage over the map. Teams should start moving into this Dragon area and setting down their objectives.
Well, it's true. Dragon up in another 20 seconds. Oh, yeah, exactly right. Wards need to be going down. Of course, there are a few available from King.
This is why you see Looper walking down through the river, because he doesn't have the teleport available.
Does have the equalizer up just off cooldown now, as Name almost able to take down that ward, but not quite able to get the last auto attack off. And
I don't know why they try. You can't do it on Sivir, even using the auto reset.
You've got like 3 cannon.
Oh yeah, if you have like an absurd amounts of attack speed, yeah, you got it.
Is the only option that I'm aware of, but M3, they are going to start off this Dragon, pulling it out of the pit here as well, as Condi's just going to take some aggro there. Huey waiting in the wings.
Insect
they want
teleport.
to make this a 50-50 if they can. As you said, teleport coming through from the Vladimir. Huey comes in, not going to be able to get the steal. Condi locks that one away. Body slam onto Huey. Make sure that he doesn't get any more extra work done. Gravity Field's now down as M3 going on the offensive.
How did Huey miss that? He's level 10 to Condi's level 8.
Whoa.
He is a far superior smite.
Coordinated damage there. There's the explosive cast. Huey's going to get stunned up and destroyed. Hemoplague down though for Insect. Can he get anything done? There's a few red circles, but they're just going to erupt and nothing more going to come from it. M3 just grab the pick with the barrel and move on. And this is exactly what you said before. It's Condi's Gragas as opposed to anything else.
Absolutely right. And Huey is, I mean, his only, I'll say it, again, statistically relevant champion as far as just a flat win rate.
I like how you said statistically relevant.
Statistically relevant champion, 50% win rate is on that Rek'Sai, and he just, it's not showing up for him. Remember when we talked about zoning Hemoplagues? Do you remember this conversation?
That was yesterday.
I think you actually just got one, Alice.
That was
so
close to a zoning Hemoplague.
It was an immediate response to drop the Hemoplague, and then obviously Master Sleeve, they don't want to walk into that because, again, we talked about the synergy between Vlad's Hemoplague and Sivir's Ricochet and just how much AoE damage. I mean, Master Sleeve could have rolled through that because it was a 4v5.
Yeah, and of course Hemoplague is an instant ability, so it doesn't quite work like that, but yeah.
The zoning Hemoplague. I got you, Max.
I feel severely trolled. Okay, I like it.
Somewhere in the building, Spawn is just face palming.
He most definitely is. Hopefully he wasn't watching.
Never.
Yep. Well, Insect going to clear out this top wave. Looper making his way up as well. Outer turret is dead on the M3 side. 1 turret apiece here, as of course mid lane went down for M3.
King, frankly, have just lost complete control. They committed early game into trading the tower for the the initial dragon. So I thought that they were going to look for a split push or a tower pushing, which likewise Korn then itemized early the CDR boot so he can get some more destinies as well as the Lich Bane, which is all about split pushing in TF. The problem is that it just hasn't connected for them. So we see Name taking down his second tower of the game, but they're falling too far behind, and this is what we were concerned about in Champion Select. Masters 3 composition is much easier to execute.
Yeah.
As far as a big 5v5 and just in general than King. So they need to keep snowballing these objectives if they want to maintain their gold lead, which about what, 1,200 right now? 1,300?
That's just over 2K, so...
I can do math.
Too badly here for King. So
it's mostly...
But yeah, you're exactly right. 20 minutes into the game, 2,000 gold, not that much. Destiny's going to come down. What the heck? Was that taken by...
A Prey Seeker?
Yep.
Huey redeemed himself for the dragon.
That was stunning. Prey Seeker steal onto Rek'Sai, of course. Loves blue buff, needs all that mana regen. Huey now with no mana at all. Hoping to regen that one back up.
It's all about the CDR and the breakdancing.
Yeah, more breakdancing necessary. Korn decides he doesn't want to kill that pink ward, just a little bit too far up towards M3. And you were talking about it like King were on a bit of a timer here, and sort of what provides that on the M3 side?
Itemization is what they're really looking for. At some point, you're just going to have... You already have the Abyssal. We talked about how important that is for these compositions that have so much spread out magic damage because of the aura of the item. The penetration, the Trinity Force is complete. Masters 3 are ready to go and to take control of this game. And King, not quite there yet.
Yeah, M3 have certainly got a window at the moment. They're looking to try and take down this outer turret in the top lane, utilizing the Sheen procs from SMLZ. Lots of damage you can see from that Trinity Force from Bill's Water Cutlass. SMLZ still tanks up a turret. That's one auto attack from the Corgi. Still not able to quite take that one down just yet.
Meanwhile, in the bottom, Looper farming happily.
Yeah. Just destroying some things here on the bottom side of the map. He's more than happy to pressure this turret if he can. No one from King actually responding to this one.
Dade is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Korn actually wanders over. That was very strange. I believe he used his flash there as Dade is going to take a fair bit of damage from Name. Flashes out of the gravity field, and Huey's going to lock himself down one more kill. 3-1-1 now for the Rek'Sai. I probably would have liked to give it over to either of those two champions that were also there. The Loop is going to trade it for a turret, so M3 probably still going to be happy.
More importantly, it's going to sacrifice the mid-tier tower as well.
Zero stole the red buff.
So this is a huge swing of power for King, and frankly just on the back of Dade being out of position, getting caught. I don't know what he was thinking being that far down in the river, especially against a Twisted Fate. Now the Destiny wasn't used in that case, Korn just flashed through the wall, but you could never be that far out, especially on a low mobility champion like Victor.
And they do have sort of technically triple global on the side of King. They've got the Void Rush as well as the Destiny and the Teleport from Insect. They can be a whole lot of different places. And if King can keep doing this, punishing players being out of position, it becomes very easy to continue doing it as this game progresses and as these champions get stronger and stronger.
No, you're absolutely right. A lot of vision for King is actually kind of in some awkward places. So taking down that mid-tier tower, the next most important objective for them is going to be that dragon that'll spawn in 37 seconds. I'm curious how they're going to set up and kind of pick up their vision from topside, move it down over to that pit, although Zero was actually just in that area and setting down wards. So good job, Zero.
He certainly put down a whole bunch of wards there as well. 5 towards that dragon pit, up in another 20 seconds. Condi just going to pink ward that little brush down. Love City going to clear that one. And Scuttle Crab going to go down. Condi would have liked to be able to pick up the extra 30 gold, but denied this time around as SMLZ locks it down.
It is important to note that Looper has his level 2 ultimate available to him in that equalizer, so the dragon control is fairly absurd for Masters 3. We talked about their composition, they've got their big item stack, the Trinity Force, you have double Abyssal Scepter.
Yeah, no, I just want to talk about Gravity Field and Tibbers as well. It's just ridiculous how you can get the stun from the Tibbers, immediately put down the Gravity Field, and then you get a guaranteed stun from that at the same time. We can use it to zone out of the way as Huey's going in for another steal if he can. Not going to get it. Condi locks it down one more time. Insect taking a fair bit of damage. There's the Tibbers as Insect straight into the team. Hero plays down though. Masters 3 taking so much damage. Dade, he's going to fall down. Huey gets another kill. Going to get stunned up but not going to care about it. Zero is going to die as SMLZ. It's his turn to go off in this fight. Insect and Korn still doing so much damage though. Huey falls. It's a 2v2 triple kill for SMLZ.
Oh, Penta.
Potential Penta available.
Penta.
Flashes forward. Insect waiting for another transfuse. Nails it. The Penta kill for SMLZ. And it's a double ace for King and M3.
It's okay, though. Condi got the dragon, so worth. Wow.
And Love City's up. No, don't worry, guys. It's not an ace. We're fine.
What a fantastic play from
Ridiculous.
SMLZ on the Corki. So aggressive, Valkying forward not once, but twice in that fight, and then timing his Phosphorus Bomb perfectly for when Korn came out of the Zhonya's Hourglass. Now, obviously, Korn looking into the Hourglass because he was trying to wait on the cooldown for his pick a card to come back up so he could look for the gold card stun.
Just insane. The fact that Insect just couldn't deal with the Corki as well. Made sure that he was fighting exactly the front that he needed to. Now picks himself up a Blade of the Ruined King. And we've got an auto-attack Corki coming through here as well. So the Berserker's Greaves instead of those sorcerers.
Oh, yeah, not having the Source Pin. And obviously he's able to do this to
yeah.
look for more attack speed because, again, you have the Abyssal Scepter. So the nice thing about doing Abyssal is a lot of times, and I think Dade actually started this, he'll go Abyssal and then he'll get Merc Treads because the penetration is compensating for not having the Sorcerer Shoes. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in terms of stats. So Corki just taking advantage of it by doing the attack speed as opposed to the Merc Treads because he's not facing a ton of CC on the side of King.
Yeah, there's also the fact that they're just very lacking in physical damage as well. So if you focus more towards getting those auto attacks off, making sure Corki more of an auto attacker, you can compensate for the fact that, you know, his passive's fantastic with attack speed. So really working out here. I just love Berserker's Greaves. I sort of caught it from Spawn, who's just obsessed with Berserker Greave Corki.
They're a very cost-efficient item, especially for pushing down towers, which is why we see in the LPL it's so common that AD carries will get the BF Sword, the Pickaxe, and instead of upgrading into the Infinity Edge, they'll go straight to the Berserker Greaves and then just start mowing down towers.
Well, we are going to be back into the game after this brief pause, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone needed to catch their breath
Hello.
after the ridiculous pentakill there from SMLZ. We were talking about him being, you know, partially a weak link here for the side. Of course, not getting
absolutely.
a whole lot of power from the AD carry role, as does M3. Lots of weight given to the solo laners, but it's SMLZ with a pentakill now. This Corki is scaling up into this game
and
very nicely.
Not a Corki player. Like, that's the best part about this, is that they banned the Caitlyn away from him. His all-time record on Corki is 2-6. That's one of his lowest AD carry win records at 25%.
Jeepers.
And he just got a... That said, before that, he was 0-2-2, and now he's 5-2-2.
Well, he's definitely doing a whole lot better than he was before the pentakill. But we'll see whether he can carry it out, of course. Not having a whole lot of familiarity isn't going to help him as the late stage comes in, but Zero going to run away from little Annie there, but he's able to very easily with that E.
The Baron dance.
Yeah.
This is what this turns into. But here we go, the split push. So we talked about how Korn itemized Lichbane first. It told me that, you know, they prioritize towers, they prioritize the early tower versus the dragon. They want to push down towers, they want to get early gold leads into the mid game, which they had, still barely hanging on to it. I guess we're getting a replay, never mind. Here we go. Player to watch, obviously, is going to be SMLZ after just this obliteration of chain CC, but it's okay because a nice Hemoplague went into the back line, caused a lot of damage. Here's the first aggressive Valkyrie, just straight onto Zero. Now turns to Huey, doing a great job orb blocking here. I don't even know how Korn ended up on the back half of that fight. He actually started where SMLZ was and now is on the back. But this is what I like. The Hourglass to look for the CDR to dodge the auto attack. Drops it straight onto him as soon as he comes out of the Hourglass and then trades straight across with Insect.
Trades as the tides of blood were heading towards his face as well.
When I initially watched it, I thought that Korn Hourglass to look for the cooldown on his pick a card, but he actually picked it, and I think he almost had 1.5 seconds before it came back out. But he actually used the Hourglass as the auto attack that would have killed him was about to strike him. So I actually really like the reflexes from Korn.
Yeah, the Sheen proc there would have definitely been enough and gave Insect a little bit more time, but of course wasn't enough. SMLZ was able to pick up that pentakill, and of course everyone dying on every team.
Everyone dead. But it's okay, because Condi got the dragon. 100% dragon control for Masters 3 right now.
Yeah, we've been crediting Condi with his sort of early power here on the Gragas and a lot of champions that he plays.
Yeah, he has the highest kill participation in the LPL. I think it's 85%, something ridiculous like that. And again, any team with Masters 3, you're talking about Dade, you're talking about Looper, now we're talking about SMLZ and his pentakill. Condi has looked fantastic this split.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's looked like a new man heading through here. Was sort of considered a little bit of a weak link. Name just going to be farming out here in the mid lane, and the split push continues on the bottom. Probably just wants to be on his own for the rest of the game.
That's really what he's looking for, and again, it's about getting those Lichbane procs so he can push down these towers and utilize the Destiny as a sub-pressure point. That said, he may be in a little bit of trouble. Although Huey's doing a great job shadowing underneath Corn to make sure that he can't get flanked like that.
Yeah, and Zero just going to throw out some cues, make sure that they can get things happening. Name hanging around here as well, getting as much work done as he can. SMLZ and Love CD sort of moving back towards the mid lane here as well. So a bit of a lull for Oscarin.
There's, again, so we're doing the Baron dance. It's relatively difficult to siege into the second tier tower, especially against the enormous amount of wave clear that either of these compositions are bringing. Of course, you've got Victor, Corki, Rumble. I mean, you got wave clear on every single member. Then likewise on the side of King, I don't really care for TS wave clear. I know he's considered like a high wave clear champion because he can just card through everything. But, you know, Sivir, Karma, Rek'Sai is not going to break dance on the creep wave, but Vladimir, things like that. So it's just really hard for these two teams to siege. So they're really dependent on these picks. But Masters 3, you know, they're perfectly fine to sit back, continue farming, wait for the appropriate pick, transition into a Baron.
Yeah, and M3 seem to have spread their vision out as well, making sure that TF can't freely move around their jungle as well. I do like the fact that they've spread it out just a little bit more than King may have. A lot of focus around that Baron area. You can see there's just a massive lit up, sort of just like a Christmas Baron tree area.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep, it's a lot of vision.
That is 7 wards entirely on that side of the river.
That's their only pink ward on the map at the moment as well. It's going to be around that river. Around the Baron. Here they're going to clear out some more from M3.
But that's so much gold that's being expended, and they're not getting anything off of it. And again, as Dragon's about to come back up, they're going to have to pick all that vision up, spend more gold to ward up that objective, because we're getting closer and closer to a win condition of 5 Dragons for Masters 3. And unfortunately, a lot of that is on Huey, missing his initial smite when he had the level advantage against Condi on Dragon number 2. So he gets, what, round 4 this time?
Yeah, well, it was Dragon 3 as well. He was right next to him.
I just that level 10 smite to level 8 was pretty crazy. I was going to say unfortunate.
Yeah. I went with crazy. Not sure whether it was the best option. Condi is going to take a bit of poke there from the boomerang.
Look
King
at how
trying to take aggro.
Masters 3, when they took position on this dragon fight, they're playing around this choke point up into the ramp. And obviously this works really well for them, not only in the equalizer, but specifically the gravitation field and the tippers.
Well, explosive cast was just used there. King not really taking too much from it. Flash Emo Plague from Insec as Condi's going to have to try and get out of there. Huey right in amongst it. Korn gets obliterated though. Dade picks up the first kill there. Love CD's going to fall down. Name's still alive, but Looper chasing onto him, has the harpoons. Flamespit are going to finish off that one. Dade here as well, wants to kill the rest of King. Another laser comes down, and SMLZ, more aggressive Valkyries to try and get himself in there. Condi actually from the backside, and that's another couple of kills there for SMLZ, and only Huey finds himself alive. Void
rushes himself to safety. How Masters 3 are using the terrain is beautiful. We were just talking about how they're making use of that ramp. They're trying to lead King up into a choke point. And instead what they did is they used it to hide Love CD, so he got a perfect flash tibbers on the flank for the counter engage. King saw the cast go down. They thought there wouldn't be a reset for the fight, so they looked for the all-in and just got destroyed by Dade.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, Condi just turned around and picked up the dragon as well. Braceseeker is going to find Dade, as the Destiny has been used, but Twist of Fate may not be able to get here in time, and it is going to be 1,000 gold. Oh, Huey tries to get there. It's going to be SMLZ that picks it up, and Huey, all sorts of embarrassment is available. He even smited, just was a little bit too early.
He is 0 for 4 on these smites. Able to pick up the blue buff with the Prey Seeker. But
yeah, so I guess maybe get some back from that. Probably shouldn't be too rude about it, but a little bit disappointing. Of course, in that situation when you've got so many more points of damage available for M3, it was sort of anyone's game there, and Huey was slightly out.
Obviously,
it was M3's Baron to lose, is what I was saying.
Exactly. I think that's the most appropriate way to bridge that topic. But we're going to have a replay of this fantastic fight. So the cast was just laid down, and this tells King we have to go. They don't have the reset. But what's key here is how Love City flashes over that wall and locks up Korn, who just immediately gets destroyed by the Chaos Storm. And then again, using the terrain, all of King have to walk through that tunnel, which means they're walking through free lasers, free Chaos Storm.
Well, in the meantime, M3 going to utilize that Baron, take down the mid lane inhibitor. And SMLZ going to grab himself a red buff here as well. Actually gets himself some health back using that Blade of the Ruined King just to make sure that he's not too low. Continues the poke with those rockets. What I loved in that last fight as well that I didn't quite notice when we were watching it the first time is the fact that Looper laid down his equalizer like a barrier that Name could not get through.
He's done a great job with his equalizers. His rumble play has been pretty on point.
Yeah, fantastic. Huey going for the engage though. Double knock up onto Dade and SMLZ. Dade goes down incredibly low. Zero as well as melting as Huey's going to die. Zero super low in the backline as Insect's going to pull up in amongst everyone. Condi does have, oh, the Hemo plate goes off, but not doing too much damage here as Insect's going to die. So a desperation move for a King, but they do trade 1 for 2. I guess, you know, you're not going to be too upset as the desperation move goes, but M3 definitely coming out ahead.
Anytime King try to go aggressive and they send Huey in for the flash on Burrow on multiple members, immediately Masters 3 drop either an equalizer, a gravitational field. That time it was all 3 with the Chaos Storm on top of it. And like you said, it creates a barrier. It creates a wall from the back line of King participating and following up on the front line of King. And Masters 3 are just ripping them apart and running through them with their AoE.
But they have to do this sort of thing because Dade, if he gets more than half a second...
They have to look for a flank. King's composition, and they have the tools to do it. You have Sivir on the hunt.
Yeah,
we talked about Vladimir.
So much movement speed.
Exactly. It's super key. The Destiny looking for flanks, Vladimir looking for flanks. They cannot go front to back on a composition like this against Masters 3. There's too much AoE. Like you said, the Tibbers, gravitational, the CC chain, the reset with the cask. There's just no way to get in there.
And there's just too much damage on Dade as well. He still needs to finish off that Void Staff, but he's got Rabbidan's perfect Hex Core, the Abyssal, as well as the Morellonomicon for all of that extra CDR. This is a massive...
Oh, he pulled way...
Victor.
Okay, good flash.
He's going to flash out of the way, so Victor wasn't even there. So having a conversation about Victor and not even available for that 4-man attempted dive onto Insect, but just going to flash himself to safety, and King going to defend this inner turret. No more Baron buffs available for M3, so it might be a little bit more difficult to siege this one out.
That said, they were one of the few teams to use the Dragon number 4 buff to secure Baron. Typically, it's Baron and Dragon number 4 with LPL teams, but they did it the right way, which means even after this Baron has fallen off, they still have Dragon.
Oh, once again, there's a flash on Burrow as Love City going down very, very low. The Hemo plague's down. Destiny right into the back line as Dade taking a lot of damage. But they're trying to turn this one around. Now, Insect does lock down Love City, but M3, this is where they turn it. Insect with the Zonya is going to save his life for now. Looper's also dead. Condi flashes into the body slam. They take down Korn, and all of a sudden, it's a triple kill for SMLZ, and everyone's dead on King.
So good for a moment there as soon as Korn got into the back line, but he's just not able to do anything. M3 are too far ahead, and again, King tried to engage front to back on Masters 3. They drop all of their mid-range damage and just watch King melt.
Yeah, and I mean, it was all off the back of another engage from King just gone wrong. Huey had the right idea, managed to get the flash on Burrow onto multiple members. It was looking okay for King, but then SMLZ, super aggressive play. This Corki has been going off, and once again, find themselves with a victory. 10-2 was that Corki. Gigantic plays that game.
And we talked about consistency, how, you know, Condi is a great base, very consistent player for M3 to build on, but it's typically been Looper and Dade kind of juggling the different power spikes as M3 rise up the rankings. And now SMLZ showing that he can play the Corki and can step forward. That said, it's pretty easy to pick up all those kills when they're just walking into your damage, but...
That's true, but we saw the slow-mo breakdown of that panic kill, and he actually did very, very well to pick up both of those. You know, not going to take anything away from that Corki performance. SMLZ definitely playing fantastically. Dade, a bit focused there in the early stage of the game. Falling to first blood was a little bit disappointing. But other than that, M3 with another solid performance on the Rift. Yeah,
their objective control was actually much better this time around. Typically, their early to mid-game transition is fairly weak just because their individual laners have been having problems. But, you know, we talk about, you know, Looper, Dade really stepping up. Even SMLZ and Love City, normally when they go into a lane swap, they freeze or hold the wave and don't impact the map at all or apply any pressure, but doing a great job in the initial Dragon control to kind of find their stride and, again, set themselves up for multiple win conditions, not just with their 5v5, but 5th Dragon, stealing Baron, things like that.
Yeah, and if we're talking about reliability, Condi, definitely reliable on the smite button, was able to lock down all of those for the team. But, ladies and gentlemen, there is another game. This best of 2 is going to end with either M3 taking that 2-0 or King turning it into a split, and we'll find out when we get back from this short break.